the world so much right now has become so divided with, are you an R or are you a D, right? And I am just Island County.
I'm Alan McPheeters with the Voter Interest Project. This year, voters in Island County will elect officials to several county offices, including assessor, auditor, clerk, coroner, prosecutor, sheriff, treasurer, commissioner, and district court judge. 19 candidates filed to run for these offices, and we've invited each of them to join us for an interview. You can find out more about the candidates and our election coverage at voterinterest.com. And if you'd like future coverage sent straight to you, you can subscribe at voterinterest.com/subscribe. Today I'm talking with Grant Shaw, a Democrat from Camano Island, who's running for County Commissioner from District 3, which is North Whidbey and Camano. We shared possible questions with him ahead of time. Great. Well, today is Friday, July the 10th. Wow, right in front of me, and I can't read it. 2026. We're here with Grant Shaw, who's running for Island County Commissioner in District 3, which is Camano Island and Whidbey Island north of the city of Oak Harbor. So, Grant, welcome to the Voter Interest Project.
Oh, so me today.
Where are you today? We do these interviews. People come in from outside, inside, office, home. Where are you located?
I'm at home out here on Camino Island. I raced back from an early meeting and just jumped on.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Let's start out with, we always start out with a little bit of biographical information so people get the background on you. So are you married or single?
I am married to my lovely wife, Tina, for 33 years.
33 years. That's
I
outstanding.
know. She was 20 and I was 21 when we got married. I think
Very
that's
good.
right. No, I was 22 and she was 21. Sorry. But yeah, 33 years. Crazy.
3 years. Do you have
Yeah.
children?
We have two daughters, two amazing daughters. One is Caitlin. She's just about to turn 21 here, and she's at Western and she's doing a law degree. So that's pretty
Ooh,
intense.
yeah.
Yeah. She just switched her major from history to law, and so that's a long story. And my other daughter, we just finished doing some driving yesterday, and she's learning how to drive, and she's about to turn 16 here. So,
Oh, man.
yeah,
You're running
she's in high
for
school.
office and teaching a daughter to drive at the same time?
Absolutely. And yeah, and actually, it's a great distraction because I can put the campaign away for a little bit and have to just focus on surviving the
Uh,
time of the drive. But she's doing great, so I'm excited about that.
Good. Now, so you live on Camino. Were you raised there or did you move there?
My father moved here in 1990, and we followed here. We bought our first property here in 95 and built our house and moved up here in 96.
Okay, so you've been here a
Yeah, so
long time.
we're 30 years, yeah, almost 31 years now.
Outstanding. Did you
Yeah.
serve in the military?
I did not. My dad was a Marine, and he pretty much it was pretty much him raising me most of my life. So I served under a military dad.
Kind of similar.
Yep,
Uh,
yep.
Now, what is your professional background? What do you do as your day job?
So my professional background is my family's all fish industry. So I started at 11 years old working in fish processing lines
Okay.
and working my tail feathers off doing that. Worked with lots of different cultures and different lives and learned how to work hard, man. Like I almost got fired my first 2 weeks working for dad because I was getting paid the same as men on the line and I had to keep up with the processing line and with everybody else. So that taught me a hard work ethic that still goes to this day. Um, After that, I went to work for Costco for 18 years or something like that.
Wow.
And
Okay.
during Costco, I learned how to manage big budgets of over $200 million, wrote them a lot of times for years,
Wow.
managed, multiple departments, sometimes 13, 14 departments and, staff of 500 in a store. Right. So,
Wow.
that's a big part of my background. I worked for Lowe's as a general manager for a little while also. Um, and now I've been able to be semi-retired for the last few years after dad passed away. My dad had dementia. So part of taking care of him was moving him into our home and taking care of him and managing all of his stuff. So that allowed me to be semi-retired, which is how I got into volunteering because all of a sudden I was home with my daughters, which was amazing. And one day I was in the Utsilati Eagle mascot costume and was a volunteer. And I haven't stopped volunteering since.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
So I know that you have you'll forgive me. I live in Oak Harbor, so I'm not as familiar with Camano as I'd like to be. You have been on the board of the Freedom Park Association. Did I get that right?
Yep, yep. I've been on quite a few boards. I've been booster club president for the elementary schools. I've been president for the middle school. Um, I'm currently president of a well association right now that serves 32 connections, and I'm vice president of Freedom Park Association, which is a 3.5 acre private park here on Camano Island. I helped build the playground in 2010,
Nice.
and last year I oversaw over $120,000 worth of improvements to the park.
Wow.
Um, in 2017, that park had gone into foreclosure, which is when I jumped onto the board and was like, we need to save this park. And so we've turned things around, and we came from save the parks to now we're just improving that park every day as much as we can.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
So I guess is that park privately owned then?
Yep.
Oh,
Private land. It was going to be developed into a strip mall, and we got the strip mall owner to donate the property to us. He is a Pearl Harbor survivor, and so
wow.
the center of the park is a Pearl Harbor survival memorial, and there's only a few Pearl Harbor memorials dedicated to the survivors.
Hmm.
And when it was officially opened up, we had something like 16 Pearl Harbor survivors come to the park for the ribbon cutting of the memorial, something like that.
Wow.
And we just last year had the sailors from the USS Kidd that was stationed in Everett for a little while come up and do a volunteer cleanup program. And I guess they're the only Navy boat that's allowed to fly the Jolly Roger, right? And they were great people, so they came and helped. But it's a private park. It's an artist community park.
Okay.
It also has a award-winning little building on it that used to be the Camano Chamber visitor station,
Oh,
right?
okay.
And so it's changed. Now we have an art gallery in there that helps connect us with more artists in the community. We have a playground that was built in 2010 by all volunteers, something like 6,000. I know what was it? It was 1,000 volunteers in 3 days came in and built this park.
Wow.
Yeah, quite a few contractors came in, and we shaped the lot beforehand, got the main foundation posts in and stuff like that. And then the community came together for 3 days, and just my wife ran the day, helped run the daycare, and we just finished building our house here on the island. So I brought over a whole trailer full of tools, and I was working graveyard at Costco, and as soon as the store opened up, I'd run over here and build during the day to help get that playground built over the weekend. And yeah, so that play it's the gym of the community. It is literally when you come onto the island, it's the first thing you see, and anything happens at that park, the community just rises up and helps it however it can.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, yeah, that's my passion. No matter commissioner or not commissioner, that park's always going to be something I care for.
Ah, very good.
Yeah, yeah,
So let's pivot to your run for commissioner. And actually,
sure.
we were talking before we started that you've been out doing some doorbelling. You're going to be doing some more.
Yep,
Maybe the best way for us to get started is uh, we talk sometimes about elevator pitches, right?
yep,
You're doing something. You're going to try to get support from someone, and you get on the elevator with them. You got 30 seconds before you get to the top floor.
yep.
Very similar to what you're doing doorbelling. Can you give us your elevator pitch for you as a county commissioner?
Oh, geez, it changes every time I talk to somebody. Uh, no, my elevator pitch is basically I'm running it for Island County Commissioner because I've been here for a long time. I understand. I moved here because of the rural lifestyle, the sense of community, um, the love of the views, the love of the neighbors. We didn't have that in Seattle when I moved up here. So this was so nice to be up here. A great place to raise a family. Uh, I've been lucky to volunteer as much as I have, and I look at this whole um, opportunity to be the next Island County Commissioner as the next phase of helping the community. It's for me, I look at it as completely as a customer service position, right? And it's my job to serve and represent the voters. Um, I'm really championing water because I am president of a water association. And when I took it over, half of our equipment was well past its lifetime. They'd been saving money, but they didn't know why they were saving money. And
Ah,
nobody had ever done an inventory and analyzed those assets to see how long they would last. And we've got expired equipment. We're replacing that. But we also have this giant cistern at some point is going to be too old, and it needs to be replaced. And that's $300,000 alone to replace one cistern. So that is a huge talking point for me, and it really seems to be connecting with the community because we all know we're growing. Whidbey's growing, Camano's growing. So how do we manage our rural growth? That is going to be water. Water and septic is going to manage everything. If you can't talk affordable housing without talking water and sewer or water and septic, and everything in this island county to build is more expensive before you put the shovel in the ground. Just that's your cost, right? It's putting that shovel in the ground. How are you going to get water and how are you going to get septic? And then just this community. Well, the world so much right now has become so divided with, are you an R or are you a D, right? And I am just Island County. I don't, like I'm going to be Island County Commissioner over District 3, but I am Island County Commissioner. One of the best stories I heard early on was there was a problem down in Melanie Bacon's district, and she wasn't able to get there. And Janet raced all the way around and got all the way there, right? And the commissioners have swapped for each other. If somebody's out of town or whatever, and there's an emergency in their district, they've swapped. And it doesn't matter what they are, whether they're Republican or Democrat, they're Island County Commissioners. And that's how I look at the role is just, I already am enjoying endorsements from both sides and donations from both sides. And I don't talk to people too much about whether what they are, I'm more concerned about what their issues are. So that's more than 30 seconds, but there you go.
Fair enough. But you brought up something interesting about water, and there's a conversation that's just sprung up here in the past, I don't know, 3-4 weeks in Langley, where they have a housing development at Coles Valley. They've been trying to do something with this land for several years, and there's been some pushback now. The city council and the mayor seem to want to approve this project, and I don't remember the number of houses involved. It's varied.
Very.
But the pushback is that watershed cannot support that many new houses. But the new comprehensive plan says over the next 20 years, there have to be 443 new housing units in the city of Langley. How do you reconcile that problem?
There's more conversations that have to happen on that, right? But I'll go with so like there's a TED Talk out there, right? That talks about green building structures. I went to architecture school for a couple of years, and this TED Talk was super influencing to me. And the density, when we can get density, we can get cleaner, greener buildings that are more efficient. Right. And when we can create that urban walking distance, right, where everything's close to that structure. So like a 5 to 8 story structure heats and uses less energy than enough homes to enclose all those habitants, right? A home is not as efficient as a condensed house. Having walkability is all a part of that. But if we can do the math on the water and the aquifers and get those kind of structures being built and be green with the water and all that, I know my water association here, and this is where like we have to talk to the health department and the specialists on what those aquifers actually say they can do. But like my well association services 32 communities. And 15 years ago, we had something like 110,000 gallon capacity per home every year. Okay. We weren't using that. So they came in and reallocated our water dropped us down to, I think we're at 75,000 gallons per home, maybe 80. They moved that number so they could build other houses and move that redistributed from that aquifer. So that is the question for the aquifer experts of what did they actually say. I understand everybody's concerned about can we do that or not. And in one of my campaign speeches, I said we can't put up a gate just to close Island County off from growth, but water might be that restriction of what we can do on some of this stuff. And I think that might be an aggressive plan for the growth plan to say that many houses, but I wasn't at all the meetings, but I got to imagine somewhere in there they were talking to the water guys a little bit about can we actually do that?
Yeah. So I have a theory.
Yeah.
I used to be in game development. We would talk about projects. It would always be, you have quality, you've got time, and you've got cost. It's a triangle that you find somewhere in there. And
Yeah.
I think there's a similar triangle for the housing problem. You can build out,
Yep.
or you can build up,
Yep.
or you can not build and have things get really expensive, which is kind of where we are now.
Where we're at now. Yes.
My sense, and you tell me if I'm wrong, my
Okay.
sense is that you would be somewhere in the triangle, but you'd be closer to the point, to the corner that is building up rather than out or not building. Is that fair?
So it depends where you're at. So here's okay. So you're Whidbey Island.
Right.
You have sewer systems and more treatment plants and stuff like that, right?
Sure.
And more infrastructure. So in the cities and on Whidbey Island, you have the ability to go up and have bigger projects, as opposed to Camano Island doesn't have any of that. So
Right.
we are just the ideas that Olympia comes with for urban growth and in development, where they want us doing these things. A lot of those people don't live out in the country as rural as we do, and so I'll go back to the same saying, putting the shovel in the ground on Camano to do more urban development is harder, and a lot of would be too, because it's not close and connected to the sewers.
Right.
But our cities that are over on Whidbey have that ability to promote in urban density, and the new plan um, wants to fill in. It's like they're talking about how to fill in holes in the middle of cities and not more sprawl, and how do we be connected to those existing sewer and water systems.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the numbers are off the top of my head, but there is some multiple thousand number of new residents that are supposed to show up on Camino in the next 20 years, which is what the period that this plan covers.
Yeah.
But there's not now, and I can't imagine there would ever be a an incorporated town in Camino.
I don't see how that would happen. We're not a big island, but also we're basically the size of a town, right? So
Right.
I don't see how that would happen. Um, the I've been here since before the first traffic light, before the first major grocery store.
Yeah.
I've watched the growth, and um, there's been very little highway expansion in all those years, right? So that is just a huge choke point. And even with the new beautiful high school, when when it gets out, because and when it goes in, because it bogs all the access down.
Yeah.
And one of the people I'm endorsed by is former Senator Mary Margaret Haugen.
Mhm.
She helped uh, get us a new bridge coming off the island and raise the roadway, because when I first moved here, the high tide, king tide, or something like that, there'd be white caps going across the roadway, and there'd be signs up saying road closed, and you're just stuck on the island for a little while.
Ah,
Yeah, so that's allows us to have access off and on the island even in a high tide. So I've watched all this growth, and my architecture background makes me really comfortable with all this infrastructure and growth and planning. Um, but it's going to be hard with Camano Island to be like, we're going to be a city. We're going to put in,
yeah.
even we have they call it the gateway to Camano Island, or its gateway area, but it's basically our urban development area.
Yeah.
It doesn't perk. So so it's like you can try and develop along there, but if you want to run septic, you got to run the septic for miles down the road to a perkable lot.
Yeah.
So it's just challenges. We have challenges in the dirt and under the dirt, and it's just we'll see how this goes. But
Yeah.
that's where, and I'm the first person to say I don't know all the answers to everything. That's why we all have to talk.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. Well, talking about building things, one of the other things that's coming up that the commissioners are going to have to handle is this new Island County Jail.
absolutely.
And they've picked out three locations. I can never remember exactly where they are. One's here in Oak Harbor on Goldie Road.
Okay.
One is essentially the current location of the jail. The third one is somewhere in Coopville, but don't have a good beat on where it is.
I don't remember the current one. I know I went to they came over here, the superintendent of the jail, if that's the right title. I think I got the right title
Yeah,
on that. And
yeah,
and
those are
the,
real.
and Chief Felicia were over here for a meeting, or a public announcement of what they're doing, and they showed the sites and stuff like that. The the current site where they're just right across from the courthouses just makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, they to have the bridge, or even if we decide to put a tunnel or something, where they can just safely walk the person to the hearing, and we all know courts don't always run on time. Things get canceled. Instead of taking an officer to transport somebody back and forth, if they can just walk them back and forth, that's so much easier. But really, the need for the new jail is it was built in 72.
Yeah.
If you use the Google box, that's past its expected lifetime right now. And our jails and prison systems were different, had a different philosophy. But that thing is meant to hold people and not much else. And it's leaking and electrical problems, and we're just spending so much money maintaining it now. It's time to just put a new one in. But talking to the sheriff, the most important thing that really came across to me was um, our breaking the cycle of the repeat offenders.
Right.
And we've got people that are generational offenders, right? And they know the same family, and it just keeps happening. They keep going back in there, and the jail isn't set up for counseling interventions. We don't have on-site training or just systems to break the cycle. And that's the most important part, is we don't want to have jails and hold people in there forever. We want to have them in there and get them the help they need, whether that's mental health or job placement, training, whatever help they need. That's our time to interact with them. We have them there, right? So let's train them, teach them, get them the resources they need to improve their lives and not come back to jail again.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
It's going to be an enormous project. I think they're
Oh,
saying at least $100 million.
yeah. Yeah.
But, what else do we have? Oh, two more topics that have been kind of hot topics lately.
Sure.
Just recently, this has blown up. I mean, touches on law enforcement.
Yeah.
This notion that we need to have a second animal control officer, particularly on Camano,
Hmm.
where we don't have one stationed.
Yeah.
But the commissioners have been pushing back, saying there's just no money in the budget for that at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
So, uh, are you inclined to think that we need one, and there's something else we should cut out of the budget and to pay for it, or what are your thoughts on that?
I'm gonna say that I was at the last week's county commissioner meeting, and
Mhm.
it was loud and clear that people want another um, animal control officer.
Right.
Uh, we had an incident here 2 years ago where there was a dog that continually got out, and I want to say, well, a bit of a friend of mine that's a fire. Uh, uh, he's a lieutenant in the fire department now,
Uh,
and God, I think that dog might have bit my deputy friend and one of my fire friends, right? And
wow.
it kept getting out, and it was a nuisance dog, and sometimes the people were home, but they just wouldn't come out. It was just a nightmare, right? And that was part of this might have been, I can't remember how many years ago, but I think this is part of the reason why we brought an animal control officer to Camino, was because of this. Um, and one of the things that people brought up at the hearing was King County just lost like a huge settlement for something like $20 million because they didn't appropriately respond with an animal control officer to an
Right.
issue down there. Pierce County did the same thing. So I've seen where we need an animal control officer. I worry about the liability of not having an animal control officer. I would like to explore if we can, is there a hybrid option where we can do, because what I heard also is the animal control officer here in Camino was also bored half the time, and he was just trying to figure out what to do with his day. And also that's part of the reason why he wasn't fired. He chose to leave, right? So
Right.
um and some of that was just not being tasked with enough, from what I understand. A little bit of hearsay there, but that's rumor on the street.
That's,
And
that's
yeah, and if that's the case, then how do we look at maybe a hybrid program where it's maybe we're adding another sheriff deputy, but his primary focus is animal control, but he's still able to respond to car accidents or other things, but his 90% of his day or 50% of his day is animal control specialist, right? I'm sure there's conversations to be had with unions on how we handle stuff like that. Funding, um, that's like Jill. Everybody says Jill is the professional on the budgets up there. It would definitely have to be conversations with her, and can we get partnerships with maybe some of these other animal groups out there? Can we help come up with some grants from different ways to help fund that officer that isn't just jumping taxes on the community? How do we figure out a way to creatively fund that? If we have to cut, let's not cut money from one department to pay for that. How do we sip? I'm very much about dispersing pain, right? So if we can disperse and just sip a little bit off of multiple departments, and so nobody's really hurt by it, but we find that money somewhere, that would be a great way to do it.
Talking with you, I hadn't really given this had not occurred to me before, but you know, the Camano community shares so much with the Stanwood community because you can't go anywhere without passing through. I'm
Absolutely.
wondering, is there some kind of a partnership with the city of Stanwood or with Skagit or Snohomish County to do
And
there?
and that might be the answer. And I want to say when I first got up here, that was the agreement. It was a contract with Snohomish County
Oh,
for extra animal control here on the island. I want to say, yeah, I want to say when I first got up here, that's kind of what the system was.
hmm.
But that's all inquiring needs to be. It's just and it's an option to be explored. That might be the cheaper option
Yeah,
of we have on call from them. I know when our deputies need assistance, Stanwood comes running, right? And I've
right.
seen our deputies run to go help them when they need help, right? So uh, it's all about community. That's what's great up here.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this for years. I'm sure you guys have conversations like this on Camino too. The notion of Island County being these two islands that you can't get to without going through at least one and maybe two other counties is just.
Yep.
I mean, there are historical reasons for that. His Island County used to include all of Skagit and Whatcom and San Juan and a fair chunk of Snohomish County too,
Yep.
140 years ago. But yeah, that just feels like there might be a partnership there. Hmm.
Yep. So a good friend of mine is Kelly Mock, the assessor.
Right.
And our daughters went to school together. They're still friends. They're still going to school together, actually. And he's been a wealth of knowledge for me and educated me on some stuff, right? And
I'll
he
bet.
explained to me what you said about Island County used to be one giant thing, and when they're dividing it up, and not to put too many words in his mouth, but basically when it all came down, nobody wanted Camano because Camano was just beach cabins, right? It doesn't create any economy, or at the time, it didn't
Yeah.
create too much of an economy. It was just retirement and beach cabins, right? It was still kind of a fishing community, right? So um, at the time, nobody really wanted Camano, and just how it shook down because there are some parts of our services would be better if it was connected to Snohomish, right?
Yeah.
But
Totally fair.
but I still feel like we'd be in the same boat. Actually, we'd be in the boat of not being paid attention to by Snohomish County either, right?
Yeah.
Because it's such a big county, there's so many people there. We'd still be the little voice trying to call for some help, right?
Yeah.
Um, at least with Whidbey, because we're both islands, we both share the same challenges growth wise of water and septic, because that message doesn't go in Snohomish very well because they have sewers and so much infrastructure. At least our two islands are sharing the same growth problems together.
Sure.
And I'll tell you what, since I've started this campaign, I've been over in Whidbey a lot, and you guys don't know anything about our side, and we don't know anything about your side. I mean, it's a learning process, and the way just talking to people, they're like, "Oh, Camino's so far away," it's pretty funny, and yeah, I love Whidbey though. I've been having fun over there. It's been great.
Good. We're glad to have you.
Yep. Yeah.
No, I imagine now that you put it that way, I have thought for a while because I used to be the chairman of the Island County Republican Party. I've been in party leadership down in Snohomish County. I'm out now doing this, but what I had consistently found is that the Republicans and the Democrats have the same problems, almost exactly the same problems.
Yep.
There's a big Republican problem. You're not Republican enough, right? Republican in name only, right? And
Yep.
then this whole flap that's grown up with between Craig Sear and Tavie Wasser is the same problem, just on the other
Yep.
shoe. So so I'm not surprised to find out that there's that same kind of relationship between Whidbey and Camano.
Yeah. We're just Island County residents. We all just need to be on one page. We're all here trying to do the best for the communities that we live in, and we all might have a little bit different views, but we just need to keep talking through things. And recognize that we live in someplace really special. That's why everybody wants to come here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I find it universally true when I talk to candidates who have moved here from out, especially there's a lot of people who have come here through the military to Whidbey.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's always, oh, we came there and it was so beautiful. We loved it. We decided to move there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, very good. I'm looking at the big clock on my monitor. It says 29:30. So we should probably wrap this up. I'm sure you've got plenty of campaigning to do. So the last question is always, if people want to know more about you, what's the best way for them to, what's your primary channel that you focus on communicating with people with? Is it Facebook or your website, or do you want people to give you a phone call? How should they reach out?
So I'm pretty easy to find. I have my electgrantshaw .com. I have my electgrantshaw at Gmail if you want to email me. I have my Facebook page. I post a ton on my Facebook page. I kind of treat it as it's my daily adventures. This is what I'm doing. And it's like today I'm going out. There's a lady just down the street that has a Democracy Now sign that somebody paintballed and mugged it up pretty bad. So my campaign bought her a new banner. We're going to go down and replace that here in a few minutes. And so I just kind of keep my adventures of where I'm going to be at meeting with her and topics that come up and endorsements and all that stuff just kind of pops up on that Facebook page. It's a page, but
Very good.
You can learn more on me on my web. Sure.
Okay. So what we're going to do with this interview is we'll put it up on our YouTube page. In the description, we'll have all that contact information, and then it'll also be there's a page related to you on our website, and we'll put all of it there as well. So.
Excellent.
Thank you so much for doing this interview. I think this was a great conversation. I'm glad you did it.
No, I appreciate what you do for the community by sharing everybody's information. It's just a great resource.
Oh, thank you. All right, we will talk soon.
Great. Thank you.
You bet. Take care.
Yeah. Yep. Bye.
Thanks for watching our interview with Grant Shaw. If you found this helpful, you can learn more about the candidates and our election coverage at voterinterest.com. You can support our work at voterinterest.com/donate and help keep us producing resources like this for voters in Island County. You can also stay up to date on future interviews and election coverage by subscribing at voterinterest.com/subscribe.